According to reports, AMC retail ownership falls from about 90% to about 40% in the absence of obvious mass selling as the price drops. Institutional ownership rises to 57%. Data, meanwhile, indicates that erstwhile short sellers might be getting more exposure. This does not appear to be traditional surrender. It calls into doubt a much more significant structural change. Let's start by addressing the most pressing issue. A startling 291 million shares, around 56.74% of the float, are now owned by institutions. Insiders currently own about 11.7 million shares, or 2.3% of the total. Retail is reportedly holding just 40.96 cents after that, a sharp decline from the 90%. Levels that we have traditionally connected to AMC's fervent individual investor base. But wait, is there any logic to this? Based on broker statistics and community perception, we have long suspected that retail dominance in AMC might range from 85% to 95%. However, we are informed that retail has a hold at stake. After only a few months without any significant sell-off waves or signs of capitulation, investors may see this as signs of market pressure that could sway sentiment. Consider it. Due to intricate market dynamics that some investors doubt, AMC's share price has dropped precipitously. However, when the price drops, institutions are piling in more forcefully rather than running away. An intentional narrative may be at work given this inverse link. Price declines and institutional buying heats up. The corporation has been portrayed as a sinking ship by media sources, which have been saturating the airwaves with dire and pessimistic tales, urging regular people to sell their AMC shares. Conveniently, they fail to mention how these same institutions are covertly acquiring shares. It brings to mind earlier cautions from individuals, such as Michael Burr, who emphasized market members' worries about possible share imbalances to overlay short positions. Similar to what happened with GameStop, based on community views and investor sentiment rather than verified ownership statistics, AMC's actual physical shares are still firmly in retail hands. However, in order to undermine trust, the ruling class is creating the appearance of a retail exodus and an institutional takeover. If bankruptcy concerns were real, or a reverse split was a real possibility, why would major actors flock to AMC? Red Flag Robbie and other astute observers' tweets are spot on. These organizations don't place bets on failure. They're setting themselves up for success. They are aware of our possessions. A tenacious entertainment behemoth recovering from pandemic lows. Retail is unmoving. The core ape group has endured through all of the headline storms over the last 4 to 5 years. AMC is currently exhibiting indications of recovery, as seen by theater investments, possible capital raising, and a strong box office. Retail is selling all of a sudden. That is illogical. Instead of mass exits, positive momentum should promote keeping or purchasing. This exaggerated institutional ownership number begs for data manipulation and denial rather than actual ownership changes. As we look more closely at the money involved, we're seeing some interesting developments. Discovery. Capital has shown increased interest by jumping in with new purchases. Even more concerning is the fact that long-standing AMC rivals like Citadel and Susquehanna, companies known for shorting, are now acquiring millions of shares. This is a pivot, not a random occurrence. Include the actions taken by Goldman Sachs and UBS. Previously holding enormous shorts with no longs, Goldman has reversed course and is now investing in calls and outright purchases instead of shorts. UBS recently acquired 23 million shares after being plagued by toxic swaps connected to AMC. These wagers are serious. On the short side, these are the organizations having the greatest stakes in the outcome. It smacks of nervousness to hedge now or go straight to longs. Worry of an impending flip or seismic disaster, unless they feel that the tide is turning against them. Short sellers don't suddenly buy into their targets, especially after they've contributed to the spread of doomsday scenarios. This resiliency is reflected in community sentiment. They expected us to panic sell at rock-bottom prices, but instead apes are doubling down, reads one red flag Robbie tweet. Every downturn is seen as an opportunity to buy more and have a fire sale. I've read innumerable posts from investors stating that it's 10% cheaper to buy. Confessions of blatant selling are uncommon. How, therefore, does institutional ownership rise to almost 57%, while retail ownership reportedly plummets from over 90% to less than 41%? Without a lot of modification, it doesn't add up. This relates to more general skepticism of AMC's management, especially CEO Adam Aron. He is accused by some doubters of assisting short sellers by issuing share authorizations or issuances. Let's use some critical thinking, though. Aron has an impressive career and is an experienced executive. At this point, why destroy his legacy in personal safety? This is emphasized in tweets like Stefan Vikstrom's, with a sizable personal interest that may bring in billions at higher prices. Like $1,000 or $10,000 per share, Aron stands to earn a great deal from a squeeze. No payout for short sellers could compare to that windfall. His motivations are entirely in line with those of shareholders, not rivals, in relation to exits. The ape mindset is laser-focused on gains that have the potential to change lives. Consider Joshua Sky, not even considering selling until shares reached $100,000. And even then, just selling a portion while keeping the majority for a greater price. Everybody has a different approach. Create your own according to your level of risk tolerance, but the general consensus is obvious. Exits are set at levels that we haven't yet reached. Claims of declining retail ownership are difficult to believe in the absence of proof of widespread selling. Trading patterns also show this suppression. Consider days when 9 million shares were exchanged, giving a range of only 4 cents. That movement isn't natural. Algorithmic handcuffs are used, with off-exchange trade recently touching 66%, down from a 30-day average of 70%, but still ridiculously high-frequency trading. Specifically, HFT and dark pools are the reasons. By fixing the price, these instruments bury shorts more deeply and stop upward breaks. Cracks, however, are visible. Companies like Renaissance have acknowledged that their HFT techniques lose money when they invest in meme stocks like AMC and GME. The fire is fueled by glitches. Errors unique to AMC and GME were echoed by Google's recent flash of GME at 400 plus. For both open and closed prices, they're not just bugs. They are hints of secret trade levels where businesses deal at prices that are hidden from the general public. Imagine the actual value of AMC Unbound if GME is glitching to 400 or higher. Shorts are under increasing pressure elsewhere as well, despite being compensated for its advantages in order flow. Citadel is seeing its biggest gain since 2018 as its gas earnings plummet, which some see as protective positioning in the face of wider market volatility. Similar findings are shown by reverse repos facilities, which showed liquidity concerns after falling from $11.7 billion on Thursday to $3 billion on Friday. Institutions panic when these fall to zero, covering shorts and selling assets, which could lead to squeezes. According to Kristen Shaughnessy's warnings, collateral trust is rapidly diminishing. Silent warning signs include things like initial brand and tricolor failures. For leverage, markets need strong collateral. Margin calls are accelerated by its collapse. The Fed's $8.2 billion injection tomorrow highlights how desperate they are for liquidity. The unified audit trail comes next. Over the course of 4 days in November, CAT revealed 34.3 billion stock mistakes, including 2.1 billion in a single session. This is not an accident. CAT exposes Wall Street's unscrupulous tactics. These mistakes also draw attention to systemic stress in the face of a McGeem demand, due to their weak margins and AMC swap burdens. UBS is facing more layoffs, although it is a minor setback for markets. Japan's $530 billion dive in U.S. stocks to support its economy is a sign of larger sell-offs. Some AMC stories tell of perseverance in the face of planned depression. Institutions are switching between short and long positions. Retail has an unbreakable hold on the market. The number of error-laden deals is increasing from low repos. That 400 issue could be a sign of things to come if liquidity dries up and covers the cascade. As market conditions continue to change, investors are keeping a careful eye on these events. That's all we've got for you today, guys. How do you feel about the shares of AMC? Participate and share your thoughts in the comments section below. I appreciate you watching.